She demanded my backyard for her wedding, so I gave her the bubble show of her life. I'm not usually the type to get involved in drama. I moved to Whispering Oaks, a quiet, sun-soaked suburb outside Phoenix, for one reason: peace. After years working in emergency dispatch, I'd earned a slower life. Morning coffee on the porch, Sunday barbecues, no chaos. That all changed when Dana moved in across the street. Freshly engaged and newly self-appointed president of our HOA, Dana came in like a pastel hurricane. You know the type: over-accessorized, over-smiling, and constantly talking about raising neighborhood standards, like she was prepping for a TED Talk no one asked for. At first, I kept my head down. Let her paint the curb numbers and create HOA dress codes or whatever. But things turned personal real fast. One Monday afternoon, Dana showed up on my porch, uninvited, wearing white heels and dragging behind her a visibly exhausted event planner and a trembling Pomeranian in a tutu. Without even saying hello, she scanned my backyard and declared, "This is perfect. The lighting, the stone trim, it screams luxury rustic. I'll be hosting my pre-wedding mixer here next Saturday." I blinked. "Excuse me?" "Oh, no need to thank me," she said, waving a manicured hand. "It'll elevate the whole neighborhood vibe." I told her no, firmly, politely. And that's when she turned. Her fake smile dropped like a curtain. "You're really going to be that neighbor during my wedding week?" "Exactly that neighbor," I replied. The next morning, I woke up to 3 HOA violations in my mailbox. Wind chimes too loud, trash can wheeled out too early, and, my favorite, excessive water use for filling my pool. A pool, by the way, I paid for. On my land. I wasn't stupid. I knew what this was: retaliation. But I didn't explode. I documented. I planned. And when my neighbor Josh dropped off a bridal flyer with my address printed on it, I realized this wasn't just entitlement. It was invasion. She had already invited 40 guests to a party on land she didn't own. That's when I remembered something. In college, I helped run campus festivals. I still had a 25-gallon commercial foam cannon sitting in storage. Legal, non-toxic, child-safe, and really, really messy. So I made a choice, not out of spite, but as a message. Saturday rolled around like a storm front. Dana arrived with bridesmaids, champagne, a DJ, and the world's most smug expression. As the music started and heels clacked on my patio, I stepped onto the deck with a lemonade in one hand and the remote in the other. Boom! The cannon roared to life. White bubbles shot skyward and rained down like a Disney nightmare. In seconds, my pool vanished under a mountain of foam. Dana's hair collapsed. Her bridal makeup streaked. One bridesmaid slipped and went full airborne. A groomsman dove into the mimosa bar to escape the flood. Dana screamed like I'd released acid, then turned on me, soaked and furious. "This is a hate crime against love." I raised my glass. "Nah, it's a private property cleanup." She dialed 911. Now, here's where things get interesting. I had already called the sheriff earlier that week, given them timestamps, copies of her flyer, even video of her sneaking into my yard. So when the deputies pulled up and she cried about foam-based terrorism, they turned to me and asked, "Sir, do you have footage?" I played it for them right there. Dana was escorted off the property. That should have been the end, but entitlement doesn't die easy. She sued me. I countersued. She claimed emotional distress, said one bridesmaid needed therapy after public soaping. The judge dismissed it all in 15 minutes. The restraining order was the cherry on top, but Dana couldn't stop. A week later, she slashed my pool cover in the rain, caught on camera again. She even hosted a neighborhood unity event to spin the story. But it turned into a meltdown. She screamed about betrayal, conspiracies, even tried to pin the wedding's failure on toxic masculinity and homeowner tyranny. That part, ironically, went viral. Someone made a TikTok remix of her rant. It hit 1.2 million views in 3 days. Eventually, she moved away. Quietly. No goodbye. Just a note in my mailbox. You may have won the battle, but you'll never understand grace. She included a ruined photo of herself waist-deep in foam. I kept it, not out of spite, but as a reminder. Sometimes the worst kind of selfishness hides behind polite smiles and pastel invitations. So here's where I ask you, was I wrong for fighting back? Was the foam too far? Or the perfect clapback to entitlement gone wild? Have you ever dealt with someone who tried to take over your life like it was theirs? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear your take. Let's talk boundaries, respect, and yes, harmless revenge. And hey, don't forget to hit like if you believe in peaceful patios and foam-based justice.